hot.
Yeah. Anyway.
And she knows sports?
Hello?
Hello.
Hello, Miss McCormick.
Hey, how are you guys?
Fine, how are you?
I'm doing well.
I want you to know the black guy's blushing. Just so you know. How are you? We were just briefly talking about the lockout. I know you cover the Trailblazers. What exactly?
The NBA Armageddon, I'm hearing from people.
Yes, it is.
What is exactly going on?
Well, let's see. The issue all along between the owners and the players has been over revenue sharing and basketball-related income. I mean, this includes the TV deals, the name rights, the video game deals, the merchandise sales. And in the last collective bargaining agreement, they gave the players 57%. And now the owners are saying, no, we want you guys to have 50-50. Well, for the players, they were willing to compromise, and they were willing to come down from 57% to around 53%. But the owners still are sticking with 50-50. So the owners gave the players a final proposal and said, take it or leave it. It's our way or the highway. The players not only didn't take the deal, they're now dissolving the union and planning on filing an antitrust lawsuit against the NBA within the next 24 to 48 hours. But to do this, like we said, they're dissolving the union, and now they're going to become a trade association. They'll wait around 48 hours so they have proof of damages. And as you guys know, today was the first day where they were supposed to receive their first paychecks. All the players were, and they didn't. So that'll be the damages and the proof of the damages they have. Now a dozen players, through attorney Jeff Kessler, who also worked on the NFL lockout, and ironically is kind of in my circle of friends. He'll file the lawsuit and represent the players, and you'll see players like Dwayne Wade and CP3 be the face of this lawsuit, guys with no baggage, no one like LeBron. But typically this sort of lawsuit takes a year to a year and a half, but 95% of these cases settle. So the players and the owners, they'll wait for a court decision, and if the players end up winning this, which I personally think the players have a better case, stating the lockout is illegal, Vince and that Stern gave them an ultimatum saying, he was going to stop negotiating if they didn't take the deal. Then if they win, they'll ask to be partners in the settlement, and they'll receive 54 to 55%, which is closer to the 57% they got in the last CBA. Are you guys with me? Are you still there?
I'm definitely with you. Definitely with you.
I feel like we just learned a lot.
Well, I pretty much got a law lesson. I mean, I didn't get a law degree, but I do have a journalism degree. And like I said, knowing Kessler and knowing all of his friends, it's been very beneficial for me to get kind of the inside scoop on everything. But if the owners win this lawsuit, then the players, they'll have to take whatever deal is left, and I don't think it's going to be a good one for the players. So with that said, I think we're going to lose the entire season, which isn't going to be a great thing for NBA fans. Right. But my final statement on all this is that the two lawyers or the two attorneys who worked on the NFL lockout, they were on opposite sides on that case. It's Jeff Kessler and David Boies. And this is what Kessler said. He said, anytime you have two attorneys who despise each other and were on opposite sides during the NFL lockout, and these two attorneys are now coming together to represent the players in this NBA lockout because they feel that the players are in the right, I feel like that should kind of tell you something.
Yeah.
So with that said, I don't think we're going to have a season, sadly.
Yeah, very, very unfortunate to hear that. Do you think it was the right move from the players that they shouldn't have taken that deal?
I do. I don't think it was fair at all. I mean, I had talked to several of the different players, and they all told me the same thing. They said we were willing to compromise, and there was just no budging from any of the owners. And they felt like in the end, like if they were to settle just so they could play basketball, they would be getting not a great deal, and players for the next several years would have to put up with the deal that they came to.
So my question is, what do you hear about the players like, say, a Chauncey Billups, who's never going to get $14 million again? How does he feel
I think
about
it has
the
something to
situation?
do with maybe the NBA is not bringing in that sort of income that it was back in the day when you had Jordan playing.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, now the NFL is kind of the dominant sport.
Oh.
And I think the NFL lockout, to be honest, helped the NFL because you had a shorter off season and a shorter free agency, and it kind of made it more exciting. And now football's back to being America's sport.
The free agency was crazy. I definitely would agree.
I have a question. Who's your favorite player right now, currently in NBA?
In the NBA, my favorite player, I'm a big Kevin Durant fan, and after watching, I loved him at Texas, and then he was actually one of the guys that I interviewed, and they told me prior to interviewing him, well, he doesn't really do many interviews before the game. He wants to stay focused. But I went up to him and was like, hey, Kevin, I need an interview. He was like, I'd be happy to give it to you.
Yeah, I'd be happy to give you an interview, too.
He was the nicest guy in the world. And then watching those videos of him at Rucker Park and how humble he is, he's probably hands down one of my favorite players. And I also, believe it or not, I'm a big Kobe Bryant fan, even being a Blazers reporter. Can't help but love Kobe. So I guess if I had to choose Team Kobe or Team LeBron, I'm taking Team Kobe.
Oh,
Me
definitely,
too.
definitely.
Me too. And
LeBron's overrated.
by the way, I asked Kevin Durant for an interview, and he didn't reply. So, I think that says something.
That's because you're not as pretty as she is.
Exactly. So what does this deal mean for, say, the Delonte West? Is it possible for maybe them to play while these guys are fighting for the money that they'll never see?
I don't think so. I think college basketball is going to come into the spotlight right now. I don't think anyone is going to see any playing time in the NBA, you know?
Wow. That sucks.
Speaking of college basketball, who do you like college basketball-wise? What team do you like to see play?
I follow Texas just because I'm from Houston, so that's really the only college basketball team I watch. I went to Auburn, and as you know, minus Kentucky, SEC basketball is
terrible.
Is not where it's at.
Not where it's at all. Actually, Florida has a pretty good recruiting class this year, though.
Well, I heard that. I heard that that Auburn, I think, was like third in the SEC.
Yeah, and they're not very good.
But hey, they did have Charles Barkley back in the day.
Back in the day. I also know that you're a big college football fan. Who do you got in the championship?
Oh, I'm a diehard college football fan. I live, breathe, sleep. I have college football dreams. That's how pathetic this has gotten.
Oh, man. Who do you got in the championship game?
In the championship game, LSU and Oklahoma State. I think they'll both finish out the season undefeated. The only team that I think that can beat Oklahoma State is OU. But I don't think it's very likely just because they are playing in Stillwater. Oklahoma is without Broyles. I don't see it happening. I see it being Oklahoma and Oklahoma State. And I feel like if Oklahoma State were to lose to Oklahoma, I don't think it would be LSU-Oklahoma. I think it would be LSU-Bama. I think we'd see a rematch.
And who you got winning it?
I personally, even as an SEC fan, I don't even want to see an LSU-Alabama rematch.
No?
I'd rather see Oklahoma State-LSU.
How do you think the high-powered offense from Oklahoma State would fare against the great D from LSU?
I think LSU's secondary, I think, they're going to be able to cover Oklahoma State's receivers. Yeah. I think in the end, defense wins championships.
It definitely does.
And for the Heisman, who do you got?
I have Whedon.
Not an Andrew Luck pick. Amazing.
Who do you guys have?
I got Luck because it's his country, honestly.
I was with you on that. I had Whedon coming out of Oklahoma State there with it.
At Oregon,
I just
Michael
think
James.
we saw this past weekend against Oregon that Luck isn't invincible. He had an interception or two, and I just think that
he's human after all.
I think he still is the most NFL ready player, and I think he'll still go number one in the NFL draft. But I think Whedon deserves the Heisman.
Definitely right.
I think we all agree with you on that one, except for Matt.
I'm saying
Michael James.
It's Luck's country, and we're just living in it.
Well, Lindsey McCormick, we thank you for your time. It was a pleasure to have you on.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Have a good one.
You too.